Welcome. Thank you for coming. Glad you're here. It takes each one of us to make it happen. Welcome you to our Pathwork Village, and as we say each time, every person in the village matters. Every person in the village is part of the whole. Meister Eckhart says, every single creature is a book about God. And that's what I see in your faces here and reflected back to me. And that's part of my wanting to be here, is to participate in this nourishment that we do together. You know, the willingness to show up here is what changes us. It makes us a little braver each time. Each one of us has a treasure map inside of us. And this treasure map is made up of our thoughts, feelings, those we're aware of, those we resist, those we hide. And your map is unique to the treasure of your own self-discovery. Nobody else's treasure map will do. Eckhart Tolle's won't do for you. Adyashanti's won't do for you. They can help, but we each have to uncover our own treasure map. So we're here to give each other the courage and support to unroll our own treasure map, to face our fear of what's inside it or what might not be inside of it, and to renew our faith that any obstacle, no matter how fiercely intimidating, is temporary, even if lifelong. So what is this treasure the map leads us to? Well, the Pathward Guide uses very powerful words like bliss, pleasure supreme, beyond any human understanding. This is the Pathward Guide's promise to us over and over again. So many times, in fact, the risk is we let the promise become vague and out of reach. Our ability is not what's in doubt. This ability is our birthright by very reason of being souls in human form. What is in doubt is our willingness to do the work of simply turning to ourselves with welcome, without judgment, by uncovering and releasing the 101 no's towards life, no's towards ourself that keep us chained to a smaller experience than what is possible. So I invite you to close our eyes as we begin our attunement together. Close the two eyes so the third can see better. May the part of us that has forever been love, always is love, forever will be love, and is completely only love. Hold us each here today and all together for our healing and that of this trembling planet that we're all crowded on together. Come into the breath. Let the breath come into you. Just being aware of the breath brings us to the present moment. It's all we need to do to open the door. Let the breath do what it knows how to do. Let the breath bring you through the doorway of this very moment. Listen to any silence inside here. Ask the silence to teach you to listen. Let a single breath be as holy as it really is. Become the temple. Gently let one hand come over the belly. And just let any emotions, any turmoil, any distress come into the hand. And when you're ready, just let the hand move up to the heart, the center of compassionate presence. And just witness all those emotions just disappearing into that vast place of compassion. Now gently feeling the hand moving up to the forehead. Gathering all the thoughts of every kind. All the unattended thoughts that decide our life. Thoughts like an anthill, a jumble. And then again, bringing the hand down to the heart. The center of compassionate presence in a human being. The heart surrenders everything. The mind judges and holds back. Keep landing here in the stillness. It's waiting. Waiting for you, waiting for me. Breathe freely without a thought. Visualize yourself wrapped in a beautiful spiritual light. Soak it in. Let it radiate out to your loved ones, healing them, healing yourself. Feel any tension and heaviness leaving your body. Feel all the weight you're carrying being lifted from your shoulders. Focus on the light. Stay with your breathing. You're ready to take the next step on the journey within. A wonderful universe awaits. Bookmark this place. Come back often. Remember, the entrance to the sanctuary is inside you. Remember, we've never, ever truly before experienced this moment. We get there when we get here. Take a few more moments and just let ourselves be full, filled up and full. You're taking all the time you need, all your sweet time to come back. When you do, let your eyes drink in, faces on the screen. Good sigh helps. I'm feeling a little trembly. I feel vulnerable usually being here in the beginning until we really get in our flow. And yet what happens is I really listen to what I'm saying, that we're all here together creating an energetic field that, I can just lean back into. without having to do anything. And I'm very grateful for that. So, as is my custom when we do this, there's some things that I want to say that really come from my deep reflection on this work. I really want to bring my most up-to-the-moment understanding of this work that I've been blessed to be practicing for 30 years now. And as most of you know, what's so amazing about it is how we hear the same things we've heard before in a new way, at a new, deeper layer within ourselves, right? A deeper layer of understanding. So as you hear me say some of the things you've heard many times before, I really invite you to say if some of them can land on new ground within. The guide invites us to listen with inner knowing and not just with the mind trying to understand the concepts. So, you know, one of my great favorite philosophers, Dr. Seuss, has this, he says, sometimes the questions are complicated and the answers are simple.
Wow.
You know, for me, that really describes this work in one sentence. Right. And the complications are really coming from our resistance, right? Yet the answer that is so simple is really if we just surrender to who we really are underneath our ego identification, not only are we safe, that's where the true joy really lives. So I've been really taken by this metaphor of the treasure map. When I was a kid, you know, like some of you here, we didn't have a lot of media input that is so common today. It was mostly books, including comic books and pirates, treasure map. There was always something magical about a treasure map, right? Can you figure the map out? Can you find the points on the map? Count the right number of steps, dig down and find the treasure. So there is, in fact, a treasure map inside each one of us. We can easily overlook it because it doesn't look like a treasure map to our mind. It looks like the very things we want to avoid and get away from. What's on the treasure map are things like pain, sadness, rejection, resentment, blame, guilt. We just have a natural recoil to these things from our conditioning, right? From our overwhelm. Yet this path is inviting us to see that those are the very things that can open the door to everything that we seek. Happiness comes when we stop fighting, stop resisting what already is. I'm getting older, I'm getting sick, I'm running out of money. So back to the treasure map, we can't release what we don't see, feel, and admit to ourselves. The very things in us we hide from ourselves are the very stepping stones to liberation and joy. We all know this, right? Yet, remember, this is an ongoing process. there's an ever new layer of our resistance, of our not wanting to look at ourselves. Look at all the work I've done already. Don't tell me I have to do more, right? Alan Watts said, if the desire for truth is strong, even a blade of grass can teach you. So really, what this boils down to more than anything else is listening to our self-talk, right? Which is going on all the time. Usually in the background, we're so used to it, we're not listening to it, yet it is having an effect on us. Of all the people on the planet, we talk to ourselves more than anyone else talks to us. That's why it's so useful to pay attention to what the voices inside of us are saying. What really needs us is the present that we're in, this present moment, right? Our past doesn't need us. It's water under the bridge. It's gone. And one of the most wonderful things we learn on this path is that we can let the past go. No matter how tight its grip feels. Because if it's hanging on, it's we who are hanging on to it because it's what we know. And we're afraid of what we don't know. The profound irony here is that what we don't know is liberation, freedom, joy, pleasure supreme, bliss. And remember, we're not doing this by ourselves. There is something inside of us that knows what to do and will take complete care of us. Pema Chodron has the most radical statement I've ever heard. She says, we're only one blink of an eye away from being fully awake. Wow. How can that possibly be? Well, it starts when we really realize and understand and accept that we're right where we need to be, right now, right in this moment, no matter how chaotic it feels, how repetitive, even though parts of us on the personality level are insisting otherwise. I need to be something else. I need to be somewhere else, right? So Kay, you were the poster child for that this morning, right? With your traumatic experience. I mean, that's an intense word for an intense passage, right? So what I want to do now is just open up and spiraling a little bit and invite you to see what you want to say from these stirrings within yourself that we're holding here, right? Like, to hear yourself say something you didn't know you were going to say. That's the gift of being here together in this forum, where we're not pretending, we're not hiding, we're willing to be vulnerable and real, humble. Especially if there's anything I said you want to push back against, or you notice part of you is resisting, right? Like, oh, I don't believe that. That's especially welcome here, right? Better to leave it here than to take it home.
Well, I'd like to just say I don't have any resistance, but something I'm becoming aware of recently is, you know, you could call it my resistance. I don't want to feel I don't want to feel that guilt, or I can't. I'm afraid I can't handle it, or that humiliation, or that resentment, or whatever. And I'm just realizing how important it is to find that place within me that's open enough, or that's open enough to the idea that I can be a presence, and be open to that, and allow those, what I consider dark feelings, to arise enough so I can understand them. And it just seems that this part of me that's able to do that, and which is reflected in, this witness reflecting in all of you listening to me now, that witness aspect of myself seems so important. And I often am so identified with where I am and struggling that I don't spend enough time nurturing, or kind of attuning to that, the possibility that I can actually be with myself in very, very difficult emotional states.
Thank you, Dan. Guilt is something we all have, and it really eats at us. It really finds a way to hook into us. And part of the trap of guilt, like a fish hook, right, with a barb in it, is that we attach the guilt to something we feel we should be guilty about, something we did or didn't do. Right? I see you nodding. Can you relate to this in this personal piece that's close by here? So what I have come to see in my own work and work with others is it's very hard to release the guilt from the guilt story about itself. Right? Can you feel that? Like, we can invite anybody else here that has some guilt close by. Like, the guilt is hard to argue with, in a way that the guilt is convinced and says, oh, you're right, I'm going to let you go now, right? The guilt says, I'm never going to give up. I got you. And this is where this beautiful teaching from the guide comes in about guilt, that really what we're guilty about is not being perfect. Wow. You see how that is a step back from this compelling story that we all have about our guilt, right? Like, what I did was terrible. What I didn't do was terrible. What I said was awful. What I didn't say was criminal. All these things, right? So the really guilt is a refusal to accept our humble humanity. And you just see how that lands in any of you here, that it's a step back from what the story is the guilt is hitting us over the head with, right? Remember, the guilt has had a long time to practice the story on us. The guilt sees us cringe and flinch.
I'm really good at seeing the imperfections in others and blaming them, and boy, does that feel good. So not only do I have guilt of my own imperfection, but I can't accept imperfection in anybody, and it's all their fault that I'm feeling this way.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Judy, I get it. Mine is right there alongside yours, going, yeah.
And the other thing is like, I'm hoping that baby Max is hearing, and we're planting a seed so that he can have a life where he's not going to be filled with guilt. But Brian, like as soon as you had, reminded us about that, the spiritual journey is that we're always growing, we're always learning, we're never, to me, like that gives me such a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. Because I think that when I'm in my guilt, like I'm stuck there forever, and then when I heard the words, I thought, wow, yeah, like we're always free. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just that I really like that reminder. I needed to hear that today. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And the GPS is the second and fourth Monday of every month at 8 p.m. New York time.
Yeah.
Anyone else here have any? Please, Seda.
I spent the last 4 days with an old friend of mine who was diagnosed with stage 3 and metastasized cancer. And I said, you love the beach. I'm going to take you to the beach. You need to go to the beach. So we went to South Georgia. But what I was thinking is that I have this thing on my finger here that bothers me, and it's been bothering me for 2 years, and it's no big deal, but it bothers me. And I remember saying to her, damn, this is really bothering me. And then I was like, oh, I'm so guilty. I have this finger thing, and you have a diagnosis of 6 months to a year to live, and I'm complaining about my finger. And I felt really bad. And I said something about it, but all those things where I feel like I should know everything and be perfect and not complain and all of that. So I appreciate that conversation, and I'm struggling with just being more gentle with myself and know that I'm learning along with everyone. Mm-hmm. So thanks.
Thank you, Pam. Pam, would you hold up that finger for us for a moment and just invite all of us here just to get some, that little finger. Your finger. It's got a Band-Aid too. Oh, whoa. Yeah.
That feels nice. I think my mother never really was the kissing the boo-boo type.
Yeah, we're kissing it, baby, right now.
Oh, thank you.
That's what we do here.
Well, I like laughing, so it's a good thing to laugh. I came back feeling pretty burdened because I was with her all day for those days, and of course, she's sad, depressed, angry, everything.
Mhm.
And I felt like I was taking some of that in, and I'm needing to
Yeah.
unburden that.
Yeah, we're holding it here, and
Ugh,
that's what we do with each other, and really.
that's why I need to be here today. Thank you.
Mhm. Beautiful. Please.
Well, what I wanted to say about guilt is that for me, it's not only seeing when I get guilty and beginning to blame myself. And it's also understanding what guilt is, and also why is it that it is there, and trying kind of finding a reason for that, and also becoming aware, like I'm using all like my mind, my ego, to my constructional ego to kind of to understand what is happening and beginning to see what is useful for me. And well, I do also have it sometimes, and sometimes I am in this kind of state of being there, like being there, and like blaming myself. And even though I see what I do, I find it sometimes difficult to just stop doing that, even though I understand that this is not like this is not very constructual way of being. So this and it can actually go for quite a long time, even though I understand. And that's what I was wondering about, like me being in this negative intentionality, even though like I see it, and with that I find it kind of difficult to just stop it, like just stop it.
Yeah. So what you're really modeling for us is how, as Chris pointed out, guilt is the work of the devil, right? It pretends to be trying to make us a better person, yet it has no interest in making us a better person. It's a force of separation. It's a split within ourselves between the acceptable and unacceptable parts of ourselves. And all it wants to do is make us suffer. Yet it's very convincing. That's the thing about our guilt. Again, like we were sharing earlier, it's been at this with us for a long time. Right? Just has to wave it a little bit, and now we're back into it. So this view of guilt as coming from perfection is a way of softening the guilt indirectly at a deeper level, right? Like, I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was doing. Now we can say first to ourselves, I'm sorry. I'm sorry what you went through. That was hard. Right? And now from this place of expressing real sorrow towards ourselves, now we have an opportunity for remorse, which is so different, right? Where we just go like, wow, I did that. I was blind. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And what's so interesting is from this place, we can direct this remorse to whoever it was we hurt, whether we speak to them or not, right? On the higher self level, on the energetic level. It's really quite powerful. Pat.
A lot I don't often feel guilt, but I'm seeing when I do, I mean, I really believe it's remorse. But boy, when I get stuck in guilt, a lot of it is just rage at where I feel very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I am vulnerable. I feel like a fish out of water. I'm in a county that went 80% Trump. I'm a good California Democrat for 35 years.
Yeah, but let's leave the politics out.
But it feels very, I feel estranged, very estranged, very, very estranged. And I did somehow, when I was just buying something soon after we got here, I lost my wallet with my driver's license in it. And I got into a lot of bureaucracy between California and Virginia. And I thought I had 3 months to switch over, and it was 2, so I had missed the deadline. And I'm gonna have to take the learner's test over it. I really hate it. And yet, talking with my sister, there's a way I feel like I need not to do this for a while. I've just been exhausted with everything that's on my plate.
Understandably so, Pat. You're
Yeah.
going through a lot.
It's huge. And it meant that I had to ask for my sister for more helps and some rides. And I just found a ride service. This is a transportation desert here. You can't hire anyone. There's no Uber, nothing.
Yeah.
And well, I found something through our insurance where we can get a lot of rides where we want to go 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, just for fun, just for, I felt so isolated. Like, here are the people I understand.
Yeah.
And there's no spiritual group I can find anywhere around here. The closest is Madison, the Pathway. And I feel lonely. And I keep hearing that voice. It was all your fault. You were stupid. You've been a paralegal. You know, never assume. That was so stupid. Look what that little bit of carelessness. How dare you think you can go ahead and finish writing what you know about thriving with dementia?
Yeah.
And can you do it? No. And it's like, I feel very called to write something.
Yeah.
I've been doing that. I'm really out there, and I am so afraid of saying what's in my heart. And it's like, you're going to make a stupid mistake again, and you're going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
How dare you step forward? And I couldn't even be perfect enough for any of this. And yet in my heart, I mean, we're still thriving after 15 years of dealing with this stuff. And it's a heartbroken call that it's just in a place where I feel like sometimes I can't stand all this vulnerability.
Yeah. Pat, why don't you just take a moment and just look at us and let us just send you our real heartfelt support, compassion, understanding, care, solidarity. Right? Like, wow. Just let it in. Like it's so real here. I feel like washing you for a moment, just washing all that away, right? Like,
It's so hard.
yeah, it is. I can't even imagine how hard it is, honestly.
I can't half the time.
Yeah. But again, keep coming back to what's here with you, for you. There's something here for you that you both want and you really need, right? It's like,
I see Pam that I've known since 1971.
Mm-hmm.
and all the things we've gone through over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see Kay, Jane,
Mm.
Ann,
Yeah.
Judy, I've never met, but I've been in your city and I love it. And I've spoken there.
Yeah. So Pat, I want you to visualize something that we often do in group when we're in person, when somebody needs support, right? I have a blanket on the floor and ask you to lie down on it. And we're circling all sides of the blanket and rolling it up till it's right next to you and holding it and lifting you. Close your eyes and just feel this.
Oh, you're not gonna lift me up high, no.
And rocking you back and
Just
forth,
rock.
just very slowly. Like, okay. And somebody's starting to hum something. Somebody else joins in. Just various phrases of, we got you, it's okay. It's all right, sweetheart. It's all right. Let it all go right now. Just, feel it charging like the battery of the cell phone of you, right? It We gently lower you back to the ground. It's time for lunch, yet you notice a few people are just sitting down next to you and not going away. Somebody's got your hand. Somebody's got your feet. You feel somebody patting the top of your head, gently stroking your hair, right? Mm-hmm.
Somebody's helping me have not thinking about anything.
There you go.
That's the big one.
There we go. That's really the simple answer, like Dr. Seuss said, right?
Yeah.
Questions are complicated and the answer is simple. Just let it all go. All right. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. This is the part of us that remembers, the part of us that's forever been love, always is love, forever will be love, and is completely only love.
I love that part of me that pushed me to click on today, even though I was sure I didn't have time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see who else is ready to say something, especially if you notice you're reluctant to say something. Right?
Well, I'm not reluctant, but I'll say something.
Please do, Sheila.
I feel like I've been in a kind of a path, I guess you could call it, the last 3 weeks or so, that started when I was telling a friend about how I feel jealous of different women who have written books on topics that I would like to write a book about. And we got to talking about just, how I find it so hard to put myself out there. That seems to be just an ongoing pattern with me of an inability to put myself out there. And it kind of came back to feeling like I haven't done enough work on healing the wounds of my childhood. And I'm feeling now, though, a few weeks later, I'm feeling a lot more self-compassion. I started reading this book, which I've got right here, called Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. And this is a guy who is a therapist and who also had a very brutal childhood. And I really recommend it to anybody who had a really brutal childhood. And I guess, I think what it's making me feel is just kind of how much I really had to deal with, and how little, I guess, I was have been giving myself credit for the progress I have made. An awful lot that's in this book is actually stuff I've already worked on through path work. A lot of the same principles apply, but it's really, it's like I've somebody recommended another book to me at the same time called The Body Knows, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
And of the various self-help books that I've read, sometimes they try to take, I think, a too lighthearted an approach. This guy is not lighthearted. Like, this guy, it's like he gets it. What a lot of children are going through and have gone through is brutal. Brutal. And they're children. They're 4, 5, 8 years old, that kind of thing. And they are being emotionally abandoned. They are being physically abused. They are being sexually abused. It's not really reasonable to think that you grow up and that you somehow just shake it off. It doesn't really happen that way.
So you're really getting a sense of honoring your own journey here.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Knowing you the way I'm privileged to know you, as long as I'm privileged to know you, Sheila, I feel like tears of joy close by. Like, this is the beginning of deep self-love, right? You're really letting the soul turn to the human being and say, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing has ever been wrong with you.
Right.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's just so incredibly healing,
Yeah. And it's happening inside you, right? This is what's happening, is the soul and the human can turn to each other. That's where the deepest healing happens, that can handle anything. And around the trauma, remember, it doesn't have to look like overt trauma for the child to feel traumatized, right? Like, not to minimize your own just because it didn't involve being slammed up against the wall or beaten and humiliated, right? Like,
well, I know you're not talking to me, but
yeah, well, I'm talking to me, right?
It's I was slammed against the wall. It's
and my mother to this day says that never happened.
Yeah.
She's 95. I'm going to be 74, right? Yet, it's really about just letting the story go and feeling the compassion like you're modeling here for us, right? Just a lack of self-judgment. And
right.
Starts off with, well, why didn't you write your book, right? Well, you went deeper into that. Like,
Right. Right. My
Thank you, Sheila.
it started with me feeling jealous of these women who, from my perspective, are practically bimbos who have written these books, and like, yeah, and I mean, I guess I just feel like I realize I have a lot more work to do on self-esteem. I think that's what it comes down to: is
Beautiful.
self-esteem, self-love,
Wow.
self-compassion, all that stuff. That's difficult to have if you didn't get it, love from your parents.
That's right. It's immensely challenging if you don't have a template of it that you received as a child, right? Like when we look at Jane holding that baby, you see how calm and relaxed that baby is, just kind of taking it all in. It's got a secure attachment.
Yeah, right.
On her grandmother's lap, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheila.
One thing to you, Sheila, I really identify with you. There's whole strings of books that I wish I had gotten there to say it first, or, before what I had to say was already said. And I highly recommend writers groups. Every writers group I've been in the last one was 12 years worth. We all dealt with stuff. And it's like getting the love for your craft and you that you didn't get.
Yeah.
The most.
So remember, the most important book we could ever write is our own story that we're writing inside of ourselves, the book of our own life, right? My good. So Jane, we were just talking about that beautiful baby. What a secure attachment he has. He's obviously so well loved and supported. And there's a whole bunch of people who never got a thimbleful of it here, looking at that baby. And it really helps me just to see that it is possible. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's very demanding.
Oh, okay. Chris, you were going to say something.
Like you have to have like both, right? I can't say.
Chris, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to jump in. I was very stirred by what you said, Sheila, from different perspectives. One is my my professional hat. I'm going to look up that book. It sounds wonderful. You're talking my language, both professionally and personally. But what I really want to share is more my personal journey right now on that, and it is continuing to work on the, the childhood reenactments. And in that theme, it feels like I'm on a precipice of huge life changes that, I'm having different conflicting feelings about, but mostly right now I'm feeling very kind of excited and just that sweetness, and that things are moving, both with my husband and the reenactments that I am aware that I created here, and really clarifying and straightening that out in many ways, and just some amazing things happening after I had some deep prayer and meditation, during which I started out with the no, and I actually no, and the theme was, like, I'm not going to let God, and I actually, I hit the pillows. I mean, I really let the somatic no have her voice, and that was really powerful and enabled me to go deeper. And then when going deeper, I felt this identity shifting, like the story of me on this planet kind of dying.
Wow.
And yes, and one of the big parts of my identity has been my professional identity, and that is really shifting, in that my life is shifting, in that more to being a grandma. And I'm having some conflicts at the same time. I'm also excited and feeling touched. And I just will say, to you, I learned some big news. A part of this, so I had this big sort of a spiritual experience. Things were moving, and then on top of that, I learned I'm going to be a grandmother again for the second time.
Wow.
Having a lot of mixed feelings about that, because having one grandchild was feeling like, you know, taking a lot. And I just haven't, I just don't, I've not experienced the kind of love ever, I think, that I feel for my grandson. And I think you've got yours, Jan. And I'm having all kinds of feelings about the idea of having a second one. But anyway, that is big. And I know I'll be settling with that. And actually, I learned not from my daughter actually has not told me yet. That's another part, but I'm sure she will. Anyway, I learned from my stepdaughter, but anyway, I'm really sitting with that. And it's like this whole shifting, you know, and then there's that. Okay. So that's kind of where I am, like what I can, Christine Walker, LCSW, that's been my identity, you know, and literally the day before I had this deep meditation, I had canceled a subscription that was long overdue. I had this old website that wasn't getting any attention. It was paying out money really for nothing, but the domain was Christine Walker, LCSW. And I canceled that subscription because it just needed to happen. And then the very next day I had this in this meditation, it was like that whole identity was shifting. And it just felt like that small gesture was a spirit talking to me.
Yeah. Small and highly symbolic. Potent.
So I'm, you know, it's work in progress. You know, I'm not quite sure how this is going to land, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Beautiful. And again, I want to warn everybody, this is highly contagious, right? You can catch this easily. Each one of us has something like this that's a blink of an eye away. We think it's so far away. And to really keep the faith of just what's here right now. What's my self-talk right now? What am I feeling right now, right? These are the unfailing steps to these kinds of arrivals. The path is hard and so rich, right? And the only thing harder than this path is not doing it. Living that old life that we've been chained to, right? Our identity, whatever we're identified with. So I have something I want to do before we close, and just want to see if there's anyone else who has something it'd be good to hear yourself say here. John, welcome.
Thank you. I just need to say how much I admire all of you, including my lovely bride, in what you do to support yourselves and each other. And it's wonderful. I mean, I'm so glad that you all do so much for each other.
John, you just blew me away.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome, man.
My
My intention wasn't to blow someone away, but anyway. Thanks.
That is a real blessing you just gave us, John. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so one of the beautiful things that's happening here is we let ourselves feel the energy of grace that's here, that is here with us all the time individually, yet when we come together, it's easier to see and feel and experience because we're looking at other faces we judge much less than we judge ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So the rocket fuel for transformation is what the guide calls our longing, right? A longing. It's a powerful, deep force within us, right? That's much greater than anything we could imagine we possibly long for, right? It's not about, oh, I want this or I want that or I'd like this. It's like a tidal pull in our being, right? That's pulling us towards something. And often we don't know what it is. So the longing is the part of us that remembers deep down, that still knows who we are and where we came from. The part of us that knows we're not just Chris Walker, LCSW, right? Like who I am is a free, evolving being, right? So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just let yourself be curious about that word longing, not intellectually, but feeling it. This longing underlies all other human experience. It's both the raw material and the fuel for transformation. So whatever makes you sad, let it go. Whatever leaves you hurt, let it go. Whatever leaves you angry, let it go. Whatever makes you happy, let it go. Whatever your hopes are, for now, gently let them go. Whatever your longing is, let it come into the opening of all these other places being let go. Just feel how this goes all the way down into your being and beyond. It's trustworthy. It's safe. It's wise. It's caring and loving. It's steadfast. Listen carefully, and you can hear it saying, "You matter. You matter." Listen carefully and hear it saying, "I'm here with you. I'm here with you." And when you're ready, come back and just take a moment in silence and drink in the faces here, mirrors. Seeing the best part of yourself here in these mirrors. And invite you to take yourself off mute and to bring your hands up and say in any variety of ways, some form of, I'm here with you. I'm here with you.
With you.
I'm here with you.
I'm here
Here
with
with you.
I'm here with you.
you.
Here with you.
Here with you.
I'm here with you. And really let yourself receive it at the same time, right?
I am here with you.
Fill it up. Fill me up. I'm here with you.
I'm
I'm
here.
here with you.
Here with you.
You're here with me. I'm here with you.
Here with you.
Mm.
Here with myself.
I'm here with you.
Here with you.
Here with you.
Thank you, everybody.